Bring the lights down low, time to start the show. Lights, camera, you know what we mean. Behold the magic of the silver screen. Some movies rock, some movies shock. They're powerful or odd. We cover them all on your favorite pod. They're dramatic, funny, sometimes scary. That's not weird, that's extraordinary. I got the need and I've got a fever. So play me a little dream weaver. Life moves pretty fast. Some will fizzle and some movies last. I understood there would be no math. It's the 30-something movie podcast. Be excellent to each other. Peace out and word to your mother. They're from the best decades. Movie magic that never fades. Lightsabers clash, phasers set to stun. Action packed from dusk till dawn. We have deep thoughts and questions three. Come share our love of the movies we see. Life moves pretty fast. Some will fizzle and some movies last. I understood there would be no math. It's the 30-something movie podcast.
It is the 30-something movie podcast. I am your host, John Reed, and we are back here for another episode in the month of July, our Maximum Destruction month. And we are bringing you maximum destruction. Yes, we are bringing you maximum destruction,
See,
which I think is when you go swimming in the ocean and the coral reef just completely rips off your swimming trunks and you're in a real awkward situation.
sounds about right.
I think that's what destruction is. It's either that or it's a combination of, what's the word for being thrown out of a window? Defenestration. It's you're thrown out of a window and I don't know why all these have to do with swimming trunks. Your swim trunks get caught on the windowsill on the way out. And not only is it painful, it's also embarrassing.
See,
Maximum destruction.
I guess what I'm wondering about that more than anything is why you know that word is defenestration.
Well, Bo, sometimes if you feel the desire to throw someone or something out of a window, you want to know how to say it.
Sure.
And so,
And if you felt that jumping out of a window was something you might want to do,
given my personal history with windows
yeah,
and the exiting of forthwith, I feel like defenestration is a word I should know.
you just pulled out a fourth whiff too. You're kind of on a roll
did.
tonight.
Yeah.
Thought you taught social studies now. I didn't think I needed to know big words anymore.
I know, but see, I'm a teacher again, and so I have some more time off during the summer, so I read books now. I haven't read books in like 10 years. So this time around, we're just gonna twist the heck out of this thing. It's Twister, and this was a big deal when this movie came out. We'll probably talk a little bit later about disaster movies in the 1990s, but this is something that I think especially the mid-90s are starting to get real well known for, because we started the month with Independence Day, and then we've also got Twister, and then we're looking ahead to next year, and next year we're going to have Dante's Peak and Volcano. So if nothing else, the people of the mid-90s really wanted to destroy some stuff, is the lesson I'm getting from the movies that we're seeing.
Agreed.
It's the summer of destruction in 1996. Whether it's aliens or natural disasters, doesn't really matter. So, all right, real quick, we spoil freely here, so just be warned. If you hear us mention a movie, you don't want to hear anything about it, just hit skip a couple of times on that phone or device you're listening on, and we should have moved on. Make sure you visit our website, 30podcast.com, where you can leave a rating, a voicemail. You can become a co-executive producer over on Patreon there, supporting the show. Thank you so much to our many Patreon co-executive producers over there. We really, really appreciate your support and your help to, keep things running smoothly over here, so that we can do the talking about movies and you can enjoy the talking about movies. And it's wonderful and humbling to have you all with us. So we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for that.
Yes, thank you, everybody.
Indeed.
All right. Well, our movie this time around is Twister. It came out on May 10th, 1996, rated PG-13 with a runtime of 1 hour and 53 minutes. Directed by Jan de Bont, who did Speed and The Haunting. If we can't let this Twister get under 55 miles an hour.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I mean, honestly, if you're going to make a movie about tornadoes, who better to make a movie about tornadoes than the guy who made Speed?
Mm-hmm.
I kind of feel like that's, you've got the perfect pairing there.
Mm-hmm.
Writers for this one, Michael Crichton, who did Jurassic Park and Westworld, and Anne-Marie Martin, who did Runaway and Defiance. Producers are Kathleen Kennedy, who did E.T. the Extraterrestrial and Jurassic Park. Ian Bryce, who did Saving Private Ryan and The Transformers, and Michael Crichton, who did Disclosure and Sphere. Composer is Mark Mancina, who did Speed and Tarzan. Cinematographer is Jack N. Green, who did Unforgiven and The Bridges of Madison County. Editor was Michael Kahn, who did Schindler's List and Saving Private Ryan. Production company is Warner Brothers, Universal Pictures, and Amblin Entertainment. Budget was $92 million. Box office was almost a cool $500 million. It was $495.7 million. Flickmetrics gives this one a 70, and CinemaScore gives it an A-. Helen Hunt plays Dr. Jo Harding. She was in As Good as It Gets and Castaway, and one of our personal favorite TV shows, Mad About You. Bill Paxton, who died in 2017, was Bill Harding. He was in Aliens and Titanic. Jamie Gertz was Dr. Melissa Reeves. She was in The Lost Boys and Less Than Zero. Carrie Elwes was Dr. Jonas Miller. He was in The Princess Bride and Saw. Lois Smith was Aunt Meg Green. She was in Minority Report and Lady Bird. Philip Seymour Hoffman, who passed in 2014, was Dusty Davies. He was in Capote and The Master. Alan Ruck, who played Robert Rabbit Nurek. He was in Ferris Bueller's Day Off and Speed. Sean Whalen was Sanders. He was in The People Under the Stairs and Never Been Kissed. Scott Thompson was Jason Preacher Rowe. He was in Fast Times at Ridgemont High and Police Academy. Todd Field was Tim Belzer Lewis. He was in Eyes Wide Shut and Ruby in Paradise. Joey Slotnick was Joey. He was in Hollow Man and Blast from the Past. And Wendell Josepher was Haynes. He was in Pulp Fiction and Apollo 13. A couple of quick things on here. During filming, Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt were temporarily blinded by the powerful 50K watt electronic lamps used by the crew to make the bright background skies look dark, overcast, and stormy. Both actors actually required special electronic drops and recovery time to heal their sunburned corneas because of it.
Jeez.
That's crazy. The terrifying roar of the tornadoes in the movie was uniquely crafted in post-production by slowing down audio recordings of camels groaning and mixing them with traditional wind sound effects. And then last one I've got on here, when the crew filmed the destruction of the fictional town of Waukita, Oklahoma, they actually utilized a real town that had been partially cleared out, and the production team bought up several abandoned homes and systematically demolished them to construct a highly realistic disaster zone. In a world where nature's most violent forces run rampant, two estranged storm chasers must survive the tempest of their past to change the future of science. These fearless storm chasers are locked in a deadly race against time to be the first to study a historic outbreak of tornadoes.
There is a mystery. Elusive. Unpredictable. Violent. It terrifies most scientists. But for a new breed, the challenge is saving lives. The research is deadly. The laboratory is nature itself.
And potentially could be a storm that has a wind in excess. Let's assume the worst at this point.
Joe! Bill! It's coming! Everybody underground now! Joe, come on! We're underground! Take cover right now! Joe! Let's go! Everybody down!
listening to that trailer audio and wondering, are they going to say anything? No. Pretty much the entire trailer was just, let's show you destruction.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's definitely the draw of the movie, is much like other movies that had come out this year, Independence Day in particular. I think the draw of some of these movies is, let's just blow a bunch of stuff up. Like, let's blow stuff up, let's destroy stuff, and why don't you come out to the movie theater, we'll have some popcorn, have some laughs, blow some stuff up. So I think that's where, in the mid-90s, we are, not that we haven't already had some disaster movies before, but I think we've, something has been rekindled in the people of the 90s where they wanted to destroy things.
Mm-hmm.
I would, in general, agree with that.
They had, you might say, an appetite for destruction.
I see what you did there.
All right, I'm going to move on before my co-hosts get angry at me and we start some kind of civil war. All right, don't shake your head at me, Bo. That was a halfway decent one.
If you have to defend it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all right,
That's all
fine.
I'm saying.
Hey, don't, when I leave and make you guys just do this on your own, don't cry. Okay?
For me, Argentina?
No, that's a Guns N' Roses song.
I know,
There's two
but
of them.
I was trying not to feed the joke.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. All right. Bo, you're one in a million. All right.
Yeah.
There's other song titles I can't use because we try to be family.
Yeah, they do sort of stray into the
just a tad.
the not safe for work category.
Yeah, right. Yeah. All right. On an Oklahoma farm in 1969, a young Jo Thornton and her family take cover from a catastrophic F5 tornado, which oddly enough is, what does the F5 key do on a keyboard? I was trying to remember. Which one's the F5 key? I have a Mac keyboard on here, so it's not.
And I'm looking at a Chromebook, so that's not helping anybody.
That's not helping. Okay.
I don't know anything about technology, so I have nothing to offer.
On one of my devices, it is a refresh, actually.
Okay. All right. Well, so the F5 tornado, known as the refresh tornado, because it will refresh the entire landscape.
It'll do something.
Yeah. The intense storm completely refreshes their property and rips the cellar doors open, tragically pulling Joe's father out into the vortex to his death. 27 years later, an adult Joe has become a leading meteorologist obsessed with chasing storms across Oklahoma. Her estranged husband, Bill Harding, arrives at her mobile research campsite with his therapist fiancée, Melissa, demanding that Joe finally sign their pending divorce papers. Joe delays signing the paperwork to show Bill that her team has constructed Dorothy, a revolutionary weather capsule containing hundreds of tiny tracking sensors that Bill originally designed. To function properly and collect data that could completely transform early warning systems, the device must be placed directly into the path of an oncoming tornado. The team abruptly cuts their conversation short to pursue a newly forming storm cell, forcing a frustrated Bill and Melissa to follow along in their own vehicle. Out in the field, they cross paths with Jonas Miller, a wealthy corporate-sponsored rival chaser who has unethically stolen Bill's blueprints to build his own tracking device called Dot 3. Agitated by Jonas's arrogance, Bill agrees to guide Joe's underfunded crew for just one day to successfully deploy Dorothy. Their first intercept attempt with a tornado goes horribly wrong when Joe's truck gets stuck in a ditch, destroying the first prototype and forcing Bill and Joe to cling to a bridge overpass for survival. With Joe's primary truck destroyed, Bill takes the wheel of his own vehicle to guide the caravan toward an active twin waterspout over Kaw Lake. The unstable waterspout thrashes their truck around violently while the team emerges unscathed. The sheer terror of the event leaves a panicked Melissa deeply traumatized. Crew visits Joe's eccentric Aunt Meg in the nearby town of Wakita to rest, repair their equipment, and eat a home-cooked meal, because everybody needs one every now and then.
Yeah.
Following another failed intercept that destroys Dorothy 2, a fierce argument breaks out where Bill forces Joe to confront the trauma of her father's death, prompting him to admit his lingering feelings for her over an active CB radio that Melissa is listening to. Bill, come on, buddy. Not cool. While staying overnight in Fairview, Joe finally signs the divorce documents just before a violent nocturnal tornado strikes without warning. The storm ravages a crowded drive-in theater, destroying the team's vehicles. Why the theater? I mean, come on. And a drive-in, too. Like, there's so few of those left.
Even less now.
I know, right. One fewer. Destroys the team's vehicles, leaving Melissa so overwhelmed that she gracefully ends her engagement to Bill, encouraging him to reunite with Joe. The massive storm track moves directly over Wakita, leaving the entire community devastated and trapping Aunt Meg inside the wreckage of her collapsed home. After successfully rescuing Meg and her dog, the team realizes a record-breaking F5 refresh tornado is predicted to form the following day, inspiring Bill and Joe to attach aluminum aerodynamic wings to their remaining sensors. Sensors. Yes. Sorry, I had to pull
everyone needs some sensors.
Had to pull a Vulcan pronunciation there.
Mm-hmm.
Remaining sensors. The next morning, a mile-wide monster F5 wedge forms, prompting a final high-stakes chase where Jonas ignores warnings and is killed when the Twister throws his truck through the air. Bill and Joe sacrifice their own truck to anchor Dorothy 4 directly in the tornado's path, successfully collecting the scientific data before strapping themselves to heavy water pipes inside a pump house to survive the core of the storm. Those are your major moments, and now we'll go into some of our deeper thoughts. We'll go deeper underground so that we can survive this tornado in the first place.
And now, Deep Thoughts.
I have an opinion on this matter.
Don't mince words, Bones. What do you really think?
I like it a lot. Wow. It's very deep. Thank you.
All right. When was the first time you saw Twister?
It wasn't in the theater, but it was pretty soon after it came out.
Yeah, same. I mean, this is going to be one I saw in either on HBO or on cable somewhere or a video rental. Yeah, I don't recall seeing it in a theater because I feel like that's an experience you remember.
Yeah.
What was the year that it came out again, John? I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
96.
No, I'm sorry. Of course it was 96. I apologize. What was the date that it came out? I'm sorry.
Welcome, Pat. Welcome to the podcast. We've been doing.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
I know.
It was May.
May of 96.
May of 96, yeah.
Okay, so the reason that I ask, obviously, sorry about the year thing, but the reason I ask is this was right like senior year of high school, going off to college, and depending where it fell in 96, I was in pretty different, like anybody, senior year, freshman year, college, there's a lot of change and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just trying to like dial in. But if it came out in May of 96, that was right when I graduated and the summer getting ready to go off to college, I probably didn't see it. I'm guessing it would have been like sometime later that year, or maybe even like the next, hanging out with friends in the dorms or going over to apartments and movie night type situation. So anyways, that's why I ask about the date. What year it is, that's always important to know too.
We definitely saw this in the theater.
All right.
In fact, Sharon and I saw it in the theater because we'd been dating for about 4 months at this point. Although we were still freshmen, so somebody would have had to drive us to the movie theater to go see it. But yeah, we saw this in the theater because as I've mentioned before, we liked the show Mad About You, and Helen Hunt was in it. And so I think we kind of figured combination of it's a big movie to go see, and Helen Hunt happens to be one of the lead actors in it. So let's go check it out. So I would imagine it was probably right around the time it came out. We were probably looking at being pretty close to school being out. We probably would have had still a couple more weeks of school left. On May 10th was when it was released. So yeah, right there at the end of the school year. So I'm sure we caught it. If we didn't catch it right when it came out, we probably caught it once school was over and saw it there. But I do remember seeing this one in the theater and have seen it a couple of times since then. So this is probably, I'm probably somewhere on viewing number 4 now.
That's it.
4 or 5, maybe.
Oh, wow.
Because we had seen it a couple times. No, well, I have not seen it. I haven't seen it more than 7 times. We'll say that much. We did watch it last year or 2 years ago, whenever it was that Twisters came out, the sequel. Because the kids, and I have not seen Twisters yet. I did not get a chance to watch it. The kids were going to go see Twisters, oddly enough, with my sister. And so before they were going to go see Twisters with my sister, we had them watch Twister because I didn't know. It's like, I don't know if you need to see Twister before you see Twisters, but
right.
Watch it anyway. Just you watch them in order. As far as I know, there is no machete order for watching the Twister movies.
Right.
So yes, so we did watch it either last year or 2 years ago. That would have been the last time we watched it before now. And then before that, maybe a few times over the years. So this might have been viewing 5, maybe 6. But yeah, before watching it last year or whenever that was, it had probably been a little while since we had seen this one.
Yeah,
Now I say that, are the both of you, are you on many multiples of viewings?
This is a favorite of my lovely wife, so
Okay.
we have seen this on many, many, many.
It's funny because I don't know how many times I've seen this movie. And it's one of those, like, I feel like I've seen it a lot, but it might be one of those that when I'm back in the day when you used to channel surf, as opposed to being deliberate with, you open up your streaming service and, there's probably times that it kind of came on and I'm like, oh, I'm going to watch this now. But then also, I think there's so many like iconic scenes and the characters are so like, oh, I remember that guy kind of thing, that it's like maybe I only saw it a handful of times and it just stuck with me. I can't figure that out.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like some movies do that. It's like, oh, I haven't seen this in 30 years, but I remember exactly, I remember this exactly, right? I know I remember the inflection. I remember the funny little look he gives. I remember this awkward scene. Yeah. So I don't know the amount of times that I've seen it, but I feel very familiar with it.
Yeah. So we've obviously seen this several times. What is it that works for you? Bo, you said this is a favorite of your wife. What is it that what makes this movie one of Donna's favorites?
I think she has a thing for weather, just in general. And so I think the tornado aspect of it, I think the tornadoes intrigue her on a lot of levels. And so I think there's that. I think Helen Hunt, Bill Paxton, even the character actors in this, Philip Seymour Hoffman, his character is fantastic. Yeah, so I think it's just a little bit of everything. It's just a movie that she loves.
Pat, what works for you in this one?
Fun action movie. It doesn't surprise me that some of the filmmakers that you mentioned had done The Haunting, because I think it takes some cues that could be considered horror. Excuse me. And yeah, like fun action movie, right? Like, trying to escape the storm. Okay, it's turning this way. Okay, we got to drive down in the ditch. Now we're going to jump out of the ditch. Now we're going to jump out of the car. Now, all that kind of thing. It's kind of got like, some happy ending to it, right? As I'm saying that question mark. Yeah, I think it is. Happy ending. It's got a happy ending to it. And I think they mentioned in the trivia, like, for the amount of storms and stuff getting blown around, like only a couple people die, right? Which doesn't make death okay. But you're not like, you're not dealing with, oh my God, this just leveled the town and we lost 30,000 people or something like that. And so, like, it's kind of still follows that old action adage where, a lot of things get shot up, the cars flip, but everyone crawls out the windows, or the plane comes down, but everyone's got a parachute. Like everybody survives for the most part. And it's just kind of fun action movie, and don't get too wrapped up in the details. So it's funny because I want to say that this was when this movie came out. And I don't know if it was a hallmark of the 90s. I'm thinking of movies from the 80s, and it was like over-the-top action movie, right? Like that was kind of the big thing I remember of movies from the 80s. Or that was the idea of the Goonies, the kids are out on the adventure, or some sci-fi, E.T., all that. I feel like in the 90s, especially now, this ones we're talking about, they're trying to make movies that were more like quote unquote realistic, right? And it might have just been my age, and just it might not be some big historical trend, but I just seem to recall like that seemed to be the thing with movies. Okay, we're going to make movies that are, more accurate, more realistic. But then everyone would kind of point out all the holes in it, right? Like Backdraft was like a movie about fires, but then, people say, well, but in reality, like it wouldn't happen this way, or this wouldn't happen, or this was Hollywood, or, and then now you got Twister. And I remember a lot of people, well, there's this, there's that, but this is Hollywood, and it really wouldn't act that way. And I feel like, and maybe it was just my age, but I feel like we didn't do that with movies as much in the 80s. We just kind of knew it was going to be Hollywoodized, right? And so as I'm watching this movie, I'm remembering those discussions and people talking about it. But as I'm watching it again this time, I'm like, yeah, but who cares? It's a fun Hollywood movie. That's what it's supposed to be, is escapism, right? And okay, so now there's a Storm Chasers movie. Doesn't have to be super accurate, realistic. It's a fun movie. This is the drop. This is why we go check it out. So yeah, I think that aspect of it works. It's thrilling. There's great action. And coming from the Midwest, right? Like severe thunderstorms and tornado warnings and all that kind of stuff, freak me out a little bit. So it's kind of fun to go watch it and have it be a thriller and all that, especially the whole thing where the tornado comes at night. I just remembered thinking, like daytime tornadoes would freak me out where you'd see the sky like start to turn and you kind of like knew, man, something's coming. This just isn't good. And and then the nighttime ones really would freak me out. And I remember as a kid, like turning my room light off and on and off and on, trying to catch like the clouds in the sky to just check, is there a tornado coming? I remember my room that my brother and I shared, and there was sitting at my desk, and there was a window right by it, and I was like, click, okay, I can see the clouds. Click, all right, lights on. Nope, can't see. Click, okay, that doesn't look like a funnel cloud. Click, and my parents like kind of watching and kind of laughing at me, like, okay, it's okay, there's no tornado coming. But it's still like it freaked me out. Like, is it going to sneak up on me? And so that scene with where it's come tearing into the movie, where she's just staring up there, and all of a sudden there's a crack of lightning and there's the funnel cloud. That really worked for me. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. It's in terms of what works in this one. I mean, there's a lot of fun stuff in this one. I mean, just some of the sound design is really fun. Like the sound of the tornadoes. It's very creative because anytime I've ever been in a tornado, it's just all I remember is just hearing the rumbling. And I've never had a tornado come like crazy close to where I was. I mean, we were in a few, in Texas, in Missouri. And then when Sharon and I were down in school in Champaign-Urbana, there was at least once where there was a tornado that came, not right to where our apartment was, but we had an apartment that was kind of on the outskirts of Urbana. And I think there was at least a tornado that kind of came, maybe within
close enough to remember it. Yeah.
Yeah. We, in fact, we joke about that. We used to really enjoy watching Law and Order Criminal Intent. And I think it used to be on at 8:00 on Sunday nights. Mm-hmm. And there was, when we lived in that apartment in Urbana, I feel like we might have missed most of a season of Law and Order Criminal Intent, or it felt that way, because every Sunday night, it seemed at 7 or 8 p.m., we had to, like, the channels all switched over to the emergency weather, and we were, like, sitting in the hallway with, pillows over our heads, and it was like we feel like we missed a whole bunch of episodes that season because we were constantly being preempted for tornado weather.
Mm-hmm.
But the sound design of this is just a lot of fun. They like that combination of, slowing down like the animal noises, the camels, and I think lions and all kinds of other stuff. And to really try to turn these storms into something that sounded like it was alive. Mm-hmm. So sound design, I did an amazing job with the sound design in this. The cast is fun. Like the ensemble cast and like how they all work together, how the storm chasers are all just, kind of joking around with each other, and their whole vibe and their witty repartee. That, and then even just some of the practical effects that they used to balance out some of the CGI. I mean, for some of these, they were using like actual airplane engines to blast 150 mile an hour winds, at some of the actors. And I was reading up on some of this, like there was a lot of stuff that was happening during the production of this movie where like people in the crew were getting hurt because, there was a couple times where like a crane or something malfunctioned and trapped a guy inside of it. And there was, I guess there was a lot of drama, like not just storms going on in the movie, but storms going on the set. There was one point in time where, because this was Amblin Entertainment, I guess Steven Spielberg was one of the people that was originally going to direct this, but then he kind of took on more of like a overseeing producer role. And there was a point, I was reading about this, there was a point where Jan de Bont got really angry and he pushed was it like a camera operator? Like he shoved him into a ditch.
Ugh.
And he refused to apologize to the guy. And so the crew walked off. They're like, nope, we're out of here. We're not working on this movie if that's how the director is going to behave. So Steven Spielberg had to fly in to yell at Jan de Bont and tell him, like, you can't do this. Like, this is not the way to treat your crew. Like, you need to apologize for this. And then eventually, I think, they ended up having to get a replacement crew to come in, and then around the same time.
Well, I know Jan de Bont had to step in and do DP duty for a little while they waited for the new DP.
Director of photography got hurt, and yeah. So it sounds like there was a lot of crazy stuff that was going on. Like there was the actors being temporarily blinded. There was a lot of actual weather going on that kind of messed with the filming and the schedule and everything else. They had to stop filming for a while because the Oklahoma City bombing had occurred. And so while they were filming, and so they stopped to kind of help with some of the relief efforts. And so just a crazy history behind like what it took, to get this movie to the point where it was actually going to be made.
Jeez.
And for something, the other thing I think that works for this is it's a simple story. Like it's storm chasers. There's nothing overly complicated about it. I mean, you're throwing in it has a little element of what was that movie Outbreak, where you had Dustin Hoffman and Rene Russo that were the former couple that now had to work together to solve the issue, and so same kind of thing here. In fact, I think Michael Crichton and his wife that were the co-writers of this, I think they referenced that the basis for this was a combination of a PBS documentary on storm chasers and the movie His Girl Friday.
Okay.
And in His Girl Friday, the story of that is there's a newspaper guy and his ex-wife who is engaged to marry somebody else have to do one last job together. And so they kind of mashed all that up to put the story together. But it's a simple story, and I think that works. Like it's not overly complicated. It's storm chasers. Like they have this new technology, this cool new technology that'll help, save people's lives if they can study these tornadoes and collect this information on it. But it's not the movie doesn't try to do too much. I don't think. I think it does a good job of being like, we're storm chasers. We're going to chase storms. Oh, look, a cow.
Right.
Oh, look, another cow. I think it's the same cow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a favorite line of ours.
Yes, and you're right. It is. It's just there's just enough plot to keep everyone involved, and you care about these characters. And you're right. The ensemble cast, they work so well together. Like you feel like they all know each other. I mean, it just seems it's very well done. They seem very, like I wouldn't be surprised if they sent the cast out for the, 6 months prior to filming this. They all hung out with storm chasers and lived in a van together. Like everything, relationships just seemed very, they were just very well done. Even the relationships with the bad guy, Jonas, you like feel like, okay, we know who he is. So yeah, you cared about what happened to the people on screen.
Yeah. What does not work in this one? I only really have one thing, and it's kind of, I don't want to say it's petty, but it's one little thing about this one that doesn't work as well for me. I guess is the team of rival storm chasers. They're villainous because they're corporate.
Right.
I mean, other than that, it's not even really like, I'm trying to remember, do they say that they're trying to do this first so that they can make more money than the other ones? Or that part I was trying to remember if that was ever explicitly said, because it kind of seems like they're all working towards roughly the same thing. They're just trying to deploy their sensors first and beat them to it. So I guess maybe they're fighting for prestige. So if they're supposed to be seen as kind of a villain, it's a strange villain, and it feels weird to like kill Jonas at the end.
Yeah.
It seems mean-spirited. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, it's, tornadoes, so somebody's going to die. But that might be the only thing. Like, there are moments where I'm fine with the rival storm chaser thing, but there's other moments where I'm like, well, just let the... In the tornadoes, I don't know if the tornadoes... I guess the tornadoes could be the antagonist of the movie. The tornadoes don't really want anything, but...
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. That was always a little bit of a weird part to the movie for me. There's moments where it does help the tension that you're trying to chase, not just the storm, but you're trying to outrun the other team. So I guess at certain times that does work, but I don't know. There was just always something a little bit weird about the interactions with that other team.
Yeah.
And they destroy the drive-in theater. That doesn't work for me.
Fair enough.
Speaking of mean-spirited.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I mean, wasn't the 90s the time that everyone was just like, oh man, like corporate sponsorship? That was the epitome of selling out.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Wasn't this right with the whole, I mean, I guess it's a couple of years because didn't they start talking this in the early 90s? But still, you're right in the middle of that, like Gen X, we don't want to sell out the stuff, right? So you just naturally feel like, okay, well, the independent scientists with the ragtag assemblage of ships looking for the 13th colony, Earth. No, but the ragtag vehicles that are always chasing storms, you like empathize with them more than, so you've got your fancy all black, Dodge Caravans and, you got all your high tech and, but you sold out, man. You're not like, I just feel like that was very much in the time, like everyone, even the music you listen to, well, they sold out and went, started listening to the studio with that album. Like I just feel like that was kind of like almost like a sign of the times that
it's one of those movies that's following the formula of Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Right.
That
right.
you have the corporate, what is he trying to build a shopping mall, and they're gonna knock down the rec center to build the shopping mall. It's the Goonies. They want to buy the house, they want to buy the neighborhood so they could redevelop it. So it's kind of like your 1980s, early 90s. I think mostly in the 80s, but you do have it in the 90s too. It's especially I think starting in the 80s, like your corporate goon who's trying to overtake the mom and pop organization or the mom and pop shop and take it over. But yeah.
Right. And I think the idea that idea of selling out, that was, very much you like, right. Like,
mm-hmm.
There was a whole thing in Wayne's World about it, right? There was that whole bit part where they were, remember when they were going back and sitting there and saying, oh, you're telling us to sell out. And then remember they had all that silly scene with the different, product placements in Wayne's World, like
mm-hmm.
he's like, well, you can make the choice. Yes. And it's also the choice of a new generation. My head hurts. Well, try Nuprin, little yellow. They just
different.
They did all those. And I just feel that was in the sign, like the bad guys were the ones that, sold out and were working for whatever the big corporation was. Ironically enough, this movie had the whole Pepsi sponsorship. And, like they were saying right down to when the computer designs went up, it was red, white, and blue in a Pepsi logo was in the computers. And they used crushed up Pepsi cans for Dorothy's, little metal things that flew up there, so
mm-hmm.
ironic that was in the movie where they were, making that commentary. But I just feel like that's how you make the bad guys of the time, is part of that corporate thing. And Jonas was just, it was, he was just arrogant and kind of the, just trying to always follow along. Like he couldn't necessarily find the storm himself. So he always had to kind of like, jump in and steal their thunder. So he wasn't like a bad guy.
He was not a bad guy.
Yeah. And, the end, it was like, well, he got his comeuppance, right? Because what did he say at the beginning? He's got all the toys, just no instinct, which is kind of a funny line in and of itself, because it's like, well, what does that even mean? You have the instinct because the tornado's going to turn. Like
you smell the tornado.
Yeah, exactly. Which is just, again, in the time when they were making movies that were supposed to be more realistic, it was like, Man, come on, that's not how reality works. But when you pull back and realize, okay, that whole quote unquote realism was just Hollywood's way of getting more people in to see the movies, which is what you want. It was just fun. So now I look back on that line, and that line's hilarious. That line is awesome, and things like that. But at the very end, dude, turn. This thing is gonna kill you. No, you don't know what you're talking about. That fun stuff, and just the personification of the tornadoes, right? Like, oh my God, it's coming for you. And she's like staring at it. She's transfixed by it. That stuff's a fun bit of business, right? Like, no, the screw is coming out of the latch. The door's going to open, and then bad stuff is going to happen, right? Like, I mean, it's not that much of a stretch if you were going to lampoon this. Have the tornado, like you're sitting in there, knock, 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 and you hear land shark, or like suddenly like the door is going and you see like the latch start to wiggle and then unlatch itself. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, they don't go that far. It's not silly like that, but they kind of do just enough where, okay, is this tornado supposed to be like thinking its way through? Like it appears at the window and says, ha ha, fooled you. It goes down that road enough just to make it enjoyable, but it doesn't become silly. But sometimes a little bit of that silly kind of works, right? It's fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, have either of you guys seen Twisters?
Yes.
You did? Okay.
That was the second it was available on streaming, we had to see it for the same reason. Just my wife's a big fan.
Can you give a spoiler-free, like, is this, like, takes place 30 years after? Are any of the characters the same? It felt a lot like they were it was a nostalgia play. Like, you're going to see Twisters and you're watching Twister again. Like, just with different actors. There wasn't, to my way of thinking, there was not a whole lot of, if you want to see it, watch the original. Like, I don't feel like the second one added anything to the story. Was it in the same world? Yes. Were any of the characters the same? Yes. Somebody shows up, and I can't remember who. Like, that's how, I hate to say it like this, but that's how non-memorable it was. Like, we watched it, and I was like, oh, that's fun, but it was all a nostalgia play. I didn't really, the love triangle's a little different in this one. Love triangle is, I guess that's the word. Like, instead of being X...
Love funnel.
Yeah, instead of being X, they're on opposite sides. It would be like if Helen Hunt and Jonas had a thing.
Okay.
Like, so they tweaked the story a little bit, and I think, I'm trying to remember, I feel like somebody's related to somebody from the first one, but like...
I feel like that was about the only thing I knew about it, was that somebody is supposed to play the child of somebody from... Yeah,
and I'm trying to get a quick synopsis of this so I can confirm that, but like, yeah, it was fine.
Okay. So if you're
going to watch it, watch this one.
Yeah. If you're a big fan of Twister and you want to watch a double feature, you do Twister and Twisters.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm not saying don't watch it.
Yeah.
James Paxton appears as an angry hotel guest.
Oh, okay.
It was shot on 35 millimeter, which is something.
Okay.
But like nothing. Yeah.
Nothing overly special.
No. There's a couple actors who appear in both as random people in the back. There's a couple of lines that get repeated.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not back. Comes up a few times. Just trying to scan this for anything quick They dress Kate, the female lead, who's adorable, by the way. They put her in the same outfit that Helen Hunt wears at one point. Like, little things like that. Like, it's a total nostalgia play. And it's funny, because I'll sit here and talk about how some nostalgia plays are fantastic. Like, give me all the Ghostbusters you want. Keep telling the same story. I don't care. Because that's what Ghostbusters is. You go around fighting ghosts, and then you blow up a big thing at the end, right? Like, that story's always going to be the same. But this definitely fell under the, why did you have to redo that movie, But I also would say, if you really like the first one, you should see it once.
Give it a try, yeah.
I'm not saying it bears up scrutiny in the rewatch like the original does. In this one, they have a double tornado. They call it twins instead of sisters. It just kind of keeps going in that same...
So, you have Twin Twister.
That's funny.
Nice.
Your censors have now betrayed them too.
You're just having too much fun with censors.
I am. Well, the fact that I just got Darth Vader to say censors,
Yeah, that's fair.
that'll bridge the fandom like never before.
Right.
I guarantee it will bring your Trek fans and your Wars.
Are you
fans
saying it's going to
together.
bring the people to the yard? Is that-
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, as my milkshake always does.
Yeah. Okay, so now I've gone down a rabbit hole that has taught me that there is a War of the Worlds TV show.
Oh yeah, recently.
Mhm.
I'm not sure it was good.
And it appears they may have had multiple seasons of said show.
Yeah.
Huh. That's not something I'm likely to have missed. That's odd to me.
I'm not sure I missed it in so much as I started to hear that maybe it wasn't good, or maybe I'm thinking of something else. So don't quote me on that.
No. It's weird. Like, one of the leads is Gabriel Byrne, which is not something I'm likely to miss either.
Yeah.
How interesting. Doesn't matter.
All right. Well, anything else before we get into 3 questions, anything else before we have 3 tornadoes come at us in
Triplets.
triple twisters. Triple. Yeah.
Triplets is better.
That hurts. I hate it when your triple gets twisted.
Hey now.
That, yeah. And anything else before we get into those? I feel like not double tornado. I feel like double rainbow guy would get really excited over triple twisters.
What does it mean, man?
Triple twisters, man.
That was kind of like the Philip Seymour Hoffman character, basically, from what you're
Wasn't he
describing.
awesome?
Yes.
The suck.
So awesome. The sucks on that whole speech. That whole, yeah.
It's not the technical name, of course.
Of course.
All right. Before the storm overtakes us, it's time for 3 questions.
He asks each traveler 5 questions. 3 questions. 3 questions.
It's impossible to answer.
Impossible because you don't know the answer.
Nobody could answer that question.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions. I want to have them answered immediately.
What you've just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
All right, question number 1. If you had to storm chase one natural disaster, what would it be? My answer might be tornadoes, but I'm not going to get as close as these people do.
Yeah.
Like, I've always been fascinated by tornadoes. I've not very closely, but I have been through a number of tornadoes before in the different places I've lived, but it's always fascinating to me. However, I don't want to get too close to it.
Right.
But yeah, because I wouldn't go out on the water. Like, I'm not like, ooh, a white squall, let's do that. Because I'm not a very good swimmer. So I feel like it's a lot easier for me to just like dive into a ditch and cover my head and try to stay away from a tornado that way, rather than me on a boat in the middle of a, oddly, shall I say, perfect storm. And yeah, I don't think I would survive that. So I'm going to go tornado.
Yeah, I might daily W. Other than I just I'm like, I don't know if the other disaster, can you quote unquote chase those things? So yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna daily W there, John.
You chase an avalanche?
Yeah, can you chase an avalanche?
No.
I'm gonna chase a drought.
Don't really have, drought chaser. But what are you chasing?
You know, I thought a lot about this, and I think it might have to be, it's not something you can chase, but it's certainly something you can study.
Mm-hmm.
I have an odd fascination with earthquakes.
Oh,
okay.
I want nothing to do with them, and I would never live out west where they would be a thing. But, I have a fascination with them that I think would lead me to studying them if I had, time.
Yeah. You know, the one I just thought of that I would also be curious to do, but again, I don't want to get too close, would be volcanoes.
Yeah.
Sure.
That would be interesting. All right. Question number 2. What is the worst weather you personally have ever experienced?
There is a day that is burned into my brain, and it is from middle school.
Mm-hmm.
And we're looking out the window, and Pat, you described this earlier, when the sky just turns ocean-like green.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And it's just not right. I remember the storms after that being huge.
Mm-hmm.
But all in all, I have to say, I've been lucky. I've sort of missed a lot of weather in my life. I mean, there was a tornado that touched down here in Mundelein. It was a small one. But it took a roof off an apartment building and a few things, and it was only about a mile from the house. But no damage here, so yeah.
I am trying to remember. I think it was either 2005 or 2006. Yeah, yeah, sometime around then. So Sharon and I were still living down in like the Champaign-Urbana area, and they had just, and I should have looked up when they built this, the Lincoln Presidential Museum and Library.
Mm-hmm.
They had just built that, and it had just opened, and I'm trying to remember. 2005 was when it opened. Okay, so it was right around there, 2005, 2006-ish. We were going to go visit because we were living not that far away from Springfield, Illinois. And so we went to go visit, and we went to the library museum. We're checking that out. And then as we were leaving, we're like, okay, we're going to leave. We're going to go grab some lunch somewhere or have some food. And then we're going to head back to Champaign-Urbana, which was maybe an hour and a half-ish away. And so we leave the library and museum, and I think we were in like a parking garage or somewhere like right across the street or nearby. We go get in our car, and, it's looking a little dark outside, but I'm not really necessarily paying too much attention. And as soon as we leave the parking garage, all of a sudden the tornado sirens are going off. And I'm like, okay, well, this is no good. And this was also because it's about 2005, 2006. This is when you have your directions via MapQuest because you don't have them on your phone. You don't have turn-by-turn directions or things like that are popping up on the screen for you. And I did not know the town of Springfield very well because I think that might have been one of the first times we had really been there. And as we are leaving, all of a sudden I'm like, ooh, yeah, we need to get somewhere. And so I kind of just kept driving. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know where really I'm going, but we probably just kind of need to get somewhere and stop. And if we can get into a building, great. If not, then we'll stop somewhere and just ride it out in the car. And we end up driving through, I think we ended up driving down this one residential street. And there are just, as we're driving through, just tree branches are falling down around us. You can't see more than just a few feet in front of the car. The rain is coming down so hard at this point. Everything, the wind, the rain, the tree branches coming down, it just is awful. And eventually I think we ended up finding our way to like a bank parking lot. And I think we just kind of pulled into the parking lot. We're like, you know what? It's too dangerous for us to keep going anywhere. And we're just going to sit here in the parking lot and ride this out.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did. And it was rough. It was scary. And I want to say the place we had planned on going to for lunch or dinner or whatever it was, when the storm was finally over, we got out there and there were some spots around town that had been like buildings had been completely destroyed. And the place we were going to go to, like they were closing. People had kind of huddled in the restaurant while the storm was happening, but they were closing because the power was out and, they weren't going to serve any food with the power being out. So we're like, okay, at this point, I think we just drive back home. It's been enough of an eventful day. So that's probably the worst weather I remember personally being in.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds not great.
Yeah. Like there were moments where I was like, I don't know what's going to happen to us because I can't see more than 2 feet in front of my car and there's tree branches falling down. So let's just get wherever we can get and we'll just ride it out.
Yeah.
So that was our adventure.
Yeah.
Patrick, did you have one? Yeah.
Well, so couple little honorable mentions. About 11 or 12 years ago, we had some real bad storms blow through on an afternoon. It was in September, like late fall. No, fall, not late fall, fall. And I remember the kids were super young. I think Dominic was kindergarten, and my folks had come out and spend the day with them. And we were at school and getting ready for cross country. And it was kind of like looking out. It was like, okay, well, we're just going to stay real close because this isn't looking good. And as we were heading to the doors to head out for practice, suddenly you could just see that wall of black coming in. And it was like, okay, hang on. And then I just remember it was like someone was spraying the windows of the outside of the building with a fire hose, right? Like it was like, okay, everyone, let's head back to the cafeteria. Okay, let's just wait this out and all that. Well, had come to find out that across town where I live, there had been a microburst because my dad had left and my mom was here with the kids, and he had left to head home, and then Tammy was going to be home, a little bit after that. And he turned around and came back and came in the house and went to my mom and said, "Hey, let's just get everybody into the basement like now." And so then got everyone in the basement, and they rode out, and it was like suddenly crashing and banging and booming. And they came up, and there were trees down in our yard. A big tree had come and taken out the play set we had in the backyard. I mean, just like power was out in the neighborhood for a while. It was pretty grim. Luckily, everybody was okay. So that was kind of the close call. And we had to drive home and avoid power lines that were down, and it was a little bit of a rough situation, right? So that one was kind of the close one. I'm trying to think of, there was another one we had to take shelter in. I can't remember that, like growing up or whatever. We had some, but actually, ironically enough, at school one time, it was a few years after that. It might have been right coming out of COVID, or maybe it was right before COVID. I can't remember exactly. Anyways, man, was that maybe that was the year of COVID. Anyways, like we were at back to school night, and all of a sudden we were doing okay. And now, this year in band, and all of a sudden, the sign goes off, okay, everybody. So I remember going down into the locker room with the parents, right, on back to school night, and that was, some bad weather blowing through and all that. So that one was another like honorable mention. But Bo, I'm actually going to daily double you, because the storm that you mentioned, where the Mundelein apartment got the roof taken off,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to daily double that, because that was probably kind of one of the closer ones that I was involved in. I don't know if you remember what time of year that hit, though.
Gosh, I don't. I want to say spring. I don't think it was quite summer yet.
It wasn't.
The only reason I think that is because one of the kids who worked for us was telling us about his house moved a few inches, and they had to redo some of it.
So it was actually February.
Wow.
It was the middle of winter. And all of a sudden we had this really day after tomorrow weather event, and there was a band concert that night. So we were all at Middle North for a band concert, and like all day they're like, yep, tornado warnings tonight. And it was like, are you kidding me with this? And I remember, and it was the band concert, and we had some directors coming over because we were doing like a clinic type concert where they prejudged the groups. And I remember, like at the concert, it was like, man, I cannot believe I'm saying this, but for the opening announcements, good evening, welcome, blah, blah, blah. As I'm sure you're all aware, there's tornado warnings in the middle of February. So if by chance the alarms go off, please be careful coming out of the bleachers. The exits are this. If you have to take shelter right below the gym, there's the locker rooms. We're going to fill that. If that becomes too packed, we're going to move to an interior part of the school. Just gave them the whole, here's the plan, just be ready. And then thinking, can we just get the bloody concert done? Right? And because I don't know, probably several hundred people that were all in the school.
Sure.
And this one was supposed to be a quicker concert anyway, but we get about halfway through, and we're just about to switch up groups, and all of a sudden everybody's cell phone goes off. Yeah. Tornado inbound. And it was like, okay, as I said, please come carefully off the bleachers down into the, and so on and so forth. And it's like, I guess we're really doing this. And you can ask Wayne. Wayne probably even has because we were live streaming it. And it was like, so we're getting everybody down. And our principal had to step out. And it was like the bad storms, and was like, are you kidding me? The one time I stepped out. So she comes tearing back to get back to the school. And she was later saying her parents were calling her like, get shelter. Don't be out driving to the school. But she was like, she was close. She's like, I've got to get there, and da-da-da. So all of a sudden I hear her coming on the main speak, and it was like, okay, well, she's making the loudspeaker announcements. Please take shelter, all that. And then you're like, of course the locker rooms get packed. So everyone's like, wait, where are we supposed to go? So we're bringing them into the pods. Okay, come here. please stay in this room. Okay, let's fill that up. Let's move to this room. Then, of course, you get the contingent of people that are just like, yeah, I'm going to watch it. Okay, well, we're trying to take, we'd like you to take shelter. And it was like, what are you going to make me? No, sir, I'm not going to make you. Enjoy. I mean, okay, that's fine. If you want to stand by the door, like, more power to you. And then there were some people like, I'm going to take my kid and go. Is that okay? And I'm like, well, I can't tell you no, but there is a tornado coming this way, so you might want to take shelter. Like trying to take care of all those folks. And then all of a sudden it was like, okay, well, the tornado is right above us. And, and it came through, and then, Bo, like you said, it took the roof off an apartment. And thankfully, I think there was injuries. I don't think anything like life-threatening or critical, but it was like, oh, wow, okay, so we're going to make it through this. And then it was kind of getting to the end. And I remember asking going to the principal, like, okay, what do we do now? And she said, well, it sounds like it's all going to like pass. What do you want to do? And it was like, well, if it's all passed, tell the older group to get back in the gym. And if you want to stay, we'll finish the concert. Okay. So it was like, and I think a bunch of the younger kids, the parents took them and like went home. But like, it was funny because she just said, we totally understand if you want to leave. However, our intention is to finish the show. And by the time I'd walked, after she made that announcement, the 10-second walk to walk back to the gym, all the kids were sitting in their seats, like warming up, ready to go.
Nice.
I mean, it was like the audience was just like, okay, done, back. And we, finished the concert, and thankfully everybody was okay. The one rather humorous thing was I was walking around like, okay, this person's sheltered. These folks are sheltered. Okay, you agree in the locker room? Okay, good. Sir, can you please come to? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to watch. Okay, fine. Have fun. Good night. Walking around. All of a sudden, I started to hear drums going in the gym. And I was like, what's going on? And I opened the door, and there's a bunch of knuckleheads in there all playing on the percussion. And like the tornado was literally above Vernon Hills at this point. The best part was, I opened the door and started chewing them out. The best part was no one had turned off the live stream. So Dennis, you can ask Dennis. I wish Dennis was here tonight. Dennis was home and he tuned into the live stream, and he said it was hilarious because like it was like those disaster movies where like the television goes off air but then turns back on and like the newsroom is empty, or you hear voices, but like he said it was totally like that because you just have this empty gym and you'll hear the announcements, please take shelter, please eat, but it's like an empty gym. And then he says that all of a sudden you see some kids start to come in and playing, and he says all of a sudden the door opens and he says you come stomping in, and you're like, what in God's name are you doing in here? There is a tornado. Get off your butts. Get into shelter, you bunch of knuckleheads. I'm just like chewing these kids out. And he says it was pretty funny. And then all of a sudden it just goes quiet again. And then I want to say he texted me like in the middle, like I chew these kids out. I get them into shelter. All of a sudden my text message, and he goes, yeah, nice job yelling at those kids. I'm watching on the live stream. It's hilarious. And I'm like, yeah, well, I'm glad you're enjoying. And
glad somebody's having fun with this nonsense.
And so anyways, so that all got done, and yeah. And then, we finished the concert and everyone home. And again, like I said, cause there was, it was bad, and there was, real bad property damage and all that. I'm just really, really glad that, no one lost their life or was seriously injured where the tornado did kind of touch down and all that. But yeah, Bo, I had to daily double because that was February. And we were doing a band concert in the middle of the tornado.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. And finally, maybe a little less traumatic question number 3. It has been claimed Twister was the first or one of the first movies to be released on DVD in the United States. What was your first DVD purchase? I think, and I was looking back here real fast to see if I still have it. I'm not sure if I do. I believe my first ever DVD purchase was Blade.
Okay.
The Wesley Snipes Blade. And it was one of those old cases that had like the cardboard or the cardstock on the front. It wasn't even like the fully plastic case.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It just had like the kind of cardstock on the front that kind of like locked in place with the little kind of like flap on the side. Yeah, I think Blade was the first one I ever bought. I don't think I still have it because I think I got the Blade trilogy on Blu-ray. a few years ago, and I might have given away my original Blade 1 DVD to somebody. Yeah, I think that's mine, though. I think it's Blade. What about you guys? Do you remember your first DVD?
I think it was Hunt for Red October.
Nice one.
Also, my first HD DVD, my first Blu-ray.
There you go.
I think I own that in most, if not all, possible media.
Awesome. Man, that's hard. I went through all college with VHS. In fact, I think we did have a DVD player, but that was PlayStation 2. When we got our PlayStation 2,
Sure.
and, one of my later years in college, the PlayStation 2, that functioned as the DVD player. But yeah, we had VHS and all that for most of it. And then I didn't get, I think Tammy and I got like a DVD player when we got married, which, like I was telling you earlier today, like we had that DVD player up until a few years ago when I finally got a Blu-ray player. So I'm trying to think of what the first one, and I had to go down and check the library out. And I think the first DVD that I purchased, I think was Legend of the Drunken Master, the Jackie Chan thing. I think that was the first one, because I'm looking here, and I've got a couple of the DVDs, like you were saying, the one that has like the cardstock cover. Like I've got like Lethal Weapon. Is that? I don't think Lethal Weapon was one of the first ones that I purchased. And then it's funny because like I think I've got Brotherhood of the Wolf, but I'm like, why was Brotherhood of the Wolf one of my first DVDs? But then it was like, I don't think I replaced. Oh, I'm gonna get The Great Escape, or oh, I'm gonna get like my top 10 favorite movies, because I already had them in VHS, right? So I'm like, well, why am I going to buy all the ones that I already have? I'm going to just kind of pick up with the new ones. So that's where like Legend of the Drunken Master and the other ones come in. So I think I'm going to stick with that. I think Legend of the Drunken Master was my first.
Patrick?
Yes, sir.
I know exactly why Brotherhood of the Wolf would have been one of your first DVDs.
We actually, yeah, we kind of all go there.
I mean,
yes, sir.
I know you well enough at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, that probably, that would all track.
Yeah. You know what I just thought of when you were talking about Jackie Chan? Can I fix one of your answers from one of the 3 questions from last week?
Yeah, what was last? Excuse me, what was last week?
Last week was Dragonheart.
Okay.
And I need to fix one of your answers because I asked, what is your favorite dragon in a movie, TV show, or book?
And we're going to switch it to Bruce Lee.
I'm kind of shocked you didn't say Bruce Lee.
You know what? It's funny. It crossed my mind, but then I'm like, am I bending the question? You know what I'm saying?
Pat,
we've got a drop for that.
Yeah. Pat, what you have to realize, though, is there is no question.
There is no question.
You're not bending the question. There is no question.
Yes. Yeah, I guess we'll have to, go back in time and change that to Bruce Lee.
Yeah. Okay. Did we all give our DVDs? Yes. Yeah. Now I'm going back and I'm trying to think first, because I remember there for a stretch of time I only could afford like 2 or 3 DVDs, and it was Blade and it was a couple of others, and I do not remember what they were. I want to say Blues Brothers was one of the first DVDs that we had that my dad bought. Did I get a DVD player before my dad did? That seems odd. Maybe not, though. I might have gotten a DVD player first. And then, because I don't know if he was like hesitant towards the new technology, and he was like, we got plenty of VHS tapes. Yeah, that would be weird. Yeah. I remember when they first came out. Like, I remember because I was working at Sears for a stretch of time while I was in high school. And I remember when DVD players and DVDs first came out, because we had this big display in the, like the TV section, the electronics section of the Sears store. Mm-hmm. And I remember, like, when I was on my break, I would walk by and be like, wow, the future is here. They're like little tiny laser discs.
Right.
Look at the little discs.
What is this, a laser disc for ants? All right. Well, this has been Twister. I think we have successfully chased or outrun the storm. We've made it out alive, mostly, maybe only slightly scathed, but we've done it. And because of that, because we made it out of this one, we're going to go straight from the Twister to the Rock. Next week, we've got The Rock with Sean Connery and Nicolas Cage.
Welcome to The Rock. He says it better.
It feels like 2/3 of an episode of Celebrity Jeopardy from Saturday Night Live with Nick Cage and...
Right?
That's all you needed. Instead of Ed Harris, you needed Nick Cage and Sean Connery going up against Alex Trebek.
That's it.
Yeah, I'd watch that. If you don't answer in the form of a question, he releases the virus.
Here you go.
There you go. All right. Well, this is our Maximum Destruction month. We have got Independence Day, Dragonheart. This time was Twister. Next time is The Rock. We will have the Matthew and Dirk, the co-hosts of the Accidental Legends podcast, will be joining us next week for The Rock. So we're really looking forward to that. Eraser will finish out the month for us. If you're joining us over on Patreon, White Squall from 1996 is our main Patreon episode this month, and our Patreon short is Spider-Man Brand New Day, the brand new Spider-Man movie that is coming out this year. So looking forward to talking about those. As always, gentlemen, thank you for being here. I always enjoy talking movies with you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
All right, everybody, be excellent to each other. Go watch some good movies, and we will see you back here next time for The Rock.